The text, Dame got a $400,000 bag from OSU. Pete Thamel tweeted it. It's not like they didn't put forth a good effort.
And I understand that from Oregon State fans where you're like, hey, we tried to give him $400,000. I think that's more alarming than anything else.
That the money didn't solve the problem.
It's getting dumped and saying, it's not you, it's me, right? They are sitting there, and what Damian Martinez is saying is like, hey, I understand you gave me the $400,000. Seemingly that's what players want. And I keep telling people this about whether it's recruiting or whether it's about the transfer portal. Relationships matter. They matter a ton. Like, if you don't think, and everybody's like, well, you just offer them the most money. No, because guess who offers a ton of money? It's Oregon, it's Texas, it's Alabama, it's Georgia, it's Tennessee, it's Ohio State, it's Michigan, it's Miami. There is no shortage of programs that will offer you a buttload of money. You can get money at a lot of schools around college football.
I like a buttload.
We can go through over 10 schools just right off the top that can offer you the moon money-wise. There is more there, people. Like, does it start a conversation? Absolutely it does. Can it help you close and get you over the top? Absolutely it can. But the money is a part of a greater conversation here. Because if you have a guy who's only in it for money, they're going to be gone. And they will leave you eventually. Bear Alexander, 7 schools, 7 years. Right?
I mean, that guy was catching bags in high school.
Now, with Damian Martinez, he's sitting there, and he took a look around it, and he said, whether it's the roster, whether it is the staff, we don't know this right now, right? But he took a look because we know how he feels about Oregon State University as a whole, right? We know. He told us. He told us all. He has a lot of love and a lot of passion for Oregon State because they're the school that took the flyer on him out of high school when he was undervalued and under-recruited, and they got on him early. They landed him, and he was a star, and he was really damn good.
But also, he's a 20-year-old kid who has one opportunity to be successful in playing behind a line. Look, Gray's a stud. Let's see if he's there, and likelihood he's not. If you're a running back,
right now Oregon State is not a place that
you want to be.
If you are a top-level draft prospect, it's not going to be a place where you are going to shine.
It's not going to help your draft stock. And you're talking about a position in running back where you're splitting hairs. Always. You're always splitting hairs about what you can or can't do. And if you're playing behind the 8 ball at Oregon State where 2, 3, 4 years ago, up until this past year, had a phenomenal offensive line, sure, it makes sense, even if they're not this national powerhouse. If you're a running back, go to Oregon State.
The truth is going to come out about what led to him saying, I didn't want to be there.
Yeah.
Will he publicly bash Oregon State? I doubt it.
No.
I mean, they treated him really well. We know how he cares about the university. But they will get to the bottom of this, and it may not be what Oregon State fans want to hear. You obviously didn't want to hear this news today, that Damian Martinez is leaving Oregon State and entering the transfer portal. But at the same time, we'll eventually find out what led to it, whether it is the uncertainty around this next season in the level of play in some of the teams that you're playing, whether it is maybe he took a look at that offense and said, nope, I can't do this. I'm not going to do it. They're going to get me hurt. That is a real possibility. There's also the possibility that maybe it is, whether it's the coaching staff or, the way that the offense has shifted with Ryan Gunderson as a play caller as opposed to having Jonathan Smith as your play caller. It could be all of these things that are wrapped into Damian Martinez's decision. But the reality of it is that the B fans got dumped today by somebody they loved, and that sucks for them. Like that's terrible. And then, there's a lot of people like, this is why I'm going to be done with college sports after this baseball season. When the Beavs start playing, they play Idaho State. I doubt you're going to be done.
I'll be watching.
Yeah, well, I doubt you're going to be done, and this is going to be the big problem, is that if that happens and people aren't showing up to the newly renovated Research Stadium, which has just been around for 1 year with both sides completed, and people aren't watching their games on TV, they will lose that seat at the table, and that's going to be one that is going to be really tough to earn back.
That's the thing is the door closed?
No, it's not yet.
What's the path?
Well, the Super League would be one, because the Super League would include Washington State and Oregon State, as they were kind of releasing last week.
How do you hold on for the next 2 years?
That is one. Well, with the money from the Pac-12.
No, but I mean, like,
And that's
how are
do
you a functional program over the next 2
Well,
years?
Well, you have to win games. And that's the thing, is you have to win football games, because here's the thing. It's like Oregon State fans are like, we got kicked to the side, and I get it. You feel beat down. But don't tell that to Boise State fans that started as a junior college and then went to D2 and then the FCS and then to the FBS. And that place is sold out every single week, and they are a viable football program. There is a path, but you can't have your entire fan base turn your back on you like that. That's full stop, because why is that attractive to anybody?
Or look at
It's not.
look at the SMU model too. Like, SMU was on the outside looking in,
Rally the troops.
and let's not say the ACC is perfect. I'm sure they don't feel 100% amazing about where they're at, but they went from a group of 5 to now they are in the Power 4.
Well,
And that came from boosters, right? So Oregon State would have to do the same, but that's an option as well. Like, bide your time, get your money right, and when the moment is there, you have to pounce.
Utah, BYU, Central Florida, Cincinnati, Houston, they've all created their own path. SMU, as you just mentioned, they've all created their own path to get there, but it took not a abandoning of ship, but circling the wagons. And
Also,
that's what Oregon State needs, and it sucks to say, like, but if you ever want to get back, that's what you have to do.
It's also a massive infusion of cash.
Yeah.
For all of those schools, where Oregon State has yet to see that.
Well,
They've got a good infusion from the NCAA tournament money, their remaining Pac-12 money.
their starting ground is a lot better than some of the others, especially like a Central Florida. Like,
Sure.
Central Florida had to prove it, and then they did. They pounced on it, and that's when they got their influx of money, is when all of a sudden you start winning football games, and boom, you have your fake-ass national title, Scott Frost.
Well, the difference is that Oregon State, that they have won games, and they still haven't gotten that big infusion of cash.
But this is your time to get your rallying cry.
But-
Come to the table now, or it won't matter.
This is one that, with Oregon State, they have gotten an infusion of cash. It started in 2000, and they got a bump, and then when the Gary Anderson debacle happened, and that was the worst Power 5 program in the country, they got an infusion of cash, and they did a really good job of injecting money into that program to say, we don't want to be here anymore. We do not want to be here anymore. And that's one thing that they have gotten small little jabs in the arm, but they need a big old steroid shot. They need it right in the rear. And like this text, BSU and OSU aren't comparable. One built up and one had it, but it got ripped away. They are. If you lose your fans, you are actually at a better place to start this thing, because you have a fan base and you have that Power 5 money infusion that is already going to be there, because the Pac-12 is dissipating. There's $100 million over the next 2 years going to the Cougs and the Beavs. That's
there's some
jump
real
start
money there, and that's the thing is, but then that's the thing is, this is it's a life raft that it's not infinite.
No, and that's why they can't.
Like, this thing runs out of air.
You cannot have the mass exodus of fans. I know it's going to be the natural way that you want to go, but unfortunately,
It's easy to care when you're winning.
Unfortunately, the reality is that if everybody abandoned ship,
Mhm.
and the fans turn their back on their program that they do love, and you do love it. If that happens, then everybody that left you behind is saying, see,
justified.
that's why we did it.
Yeah. That's the thing. It's easy to care for your team when you're winning and things are going well. It's super fun to ride the highs.
Yep.
But if you're a B fan and this is one of those ride at the lowest kind of situations.
Yep.
Because if you don't, like you said, not even just to see the table, it might get worse than that. You might be relegated to beyond just the next rung down.
They're not gonna drop past Mountain West territory.
But I mean, the Mountain West territory might be further removed from where it is now.
Well, yeah, when the 12-team playoff and the cash infusion starts happening, well, that's the uphill climb. And this is again, we're going through this again, but this is that worst case scenario that everybody was talking about.
So, sorry, Bees fans. Wish we had some better news, but that's the way the cookie's crumbling right now. Hopefully, that salsa money can cobble something together here over the next 2 years.
Yeah, well, yeah, a lot more than that. They need that NVIDIA money.
Yeah, they need that graphics card money for sure. Mine and some Bitcoin.